Hi, my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to talk about cyberstalking and cyberharassment, why I think it's a critical issue, and one way that we can work to stop it. For anyone who may be unfamiliar with the terms, the National Conference of State Legislation, or NCSL, defines cyberstalking as the use of the internet, email, or other electronic communications to stalk, and generally refers to a pattern of threatening or malicious behaviors. It's also mentioned that cyberstalking may be considered the most dangerous of the three types of internet harassment based on posing a credible threat of harm. Harassment differs from cyberstalking in that it may generally be defined as not involving a credible threat. It usually pertains to threatening or harassing email messages, instant messages, or to blog entries or websites dedicated solely to tormenting an individual. According to the Pew Research Center, young adults aged 18 to 29 are more likely to experience online harassment than any other demographic, and their study concluded that 65% of young internet users have been the target of at least one of their 6 identified elements of harassment. That number was even higher at 70% for young adults between the ages of 18 and 24. On top of that, young women between 18 and 24 experience what the Pew Research Center calls disproportionately high levels of severe types of harassment. 26% of those young women had been stalked online, and 25% were the target of online sexual harassment. So as you can probably tell, I'm a woman between the ages of 18 and 24, meaning that I'm in the demographic described before. So this problem directly affects me and my peers. So you may be wondering what these young women are getting themselves involved in that's leading to cyberstalking. A list from the Huffington Post entitled 13 Things That You Can Do That Will Probably Result in an Online Rape Threat might help give you an idea. It includes a variety of issues, including women's issues, such as talking about sexism in the gaming industry, having a discussion about whether or not most rape jokes are funny, or writing about women's issues of any kind, as well as other non-gender focused issues, like criticizing a comic book or tweeting about gun control. While the Huffington Post isn't what we would consider a scholarly resource, each of these examples is backed up by a link to a specific story about a woman who did one of these things and was cyberstalked or harassed to an extreme extent as a result. Another example from pop culture found in Forbes magazine is Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, who was bullied off of Twitter and blamed for her father's death after posting a touching tribute to him. To the men out there, this issue doesn't just pertain to women, however. While women are more likely to experience more severe forms of cyberstalking, men are more likely to experience name-calling or embarrassment online. Men typically highlight online gaming or comment sections as the most prominent places for this to happen, again according to the study done by the Pew Research Center. Also, men experience more cyberstalking than they do physical stalking, according to an article in Newsweek. I'm sure there are people out there who are wondering what's the big deal, and what can this really do to a person? Well, according to that article in Newsweek entitled How the Law is Standing Up to Cyberstalking, many of the victims display at least one symptom of post-traumatic stress disorder. Others are more fearful, can develop physical illnesses, or even become suicidal. Many also suffer financial harm as a result. So to put it plainly, it's more than just an issue of getting a thicker skin, it's negatively and permanently affecting people's lives. So what's being done about this issue? Many states already have legislation in place, but that's usually hard to enforce because of the anonymity of the internet. The Newsweek story also mentioned an issue of confidence. The example they gave, which was cyberstalking cases in Germany, ended with only a 2% successful conviction rate. More often, the women are given the same advice that Hess, a woman who writes about women's issues online and whose story was covered by the Toronto Star, was given after being cyber harassed. She was told to stay off Twitter and to get a gun. A lot of the examples I gave today were extreme examples, and it can be hard to believe that this could happen to us or someone we care about, but the statistics say otherwise. While amending legislation can be a long process and is often above our heads, there is something we can do now. According to an article in Forbes, Twitter has agreed to team up with Women, Action, and the Media, or WAM, to address the people who have been harassed on their site. Following in the footsteps of Facebook after #FBRape campaign last year, Twitter has paired with WAM to create a form that makes it easier to report harassment and provide more details about the harassment. WAM will also push for resolution of the issue, but it has no power to act itself. This is only a temporary situation, however, and even after Twitter promised to make changes after the cyberbullying of Zelda Williams I mentioned earlier, nothing's been done. As users of social media, it's up to us to hold these platforms accountable to their users. This is only the first step in what our previous example, Hess, has said might be the next great civil rights issue. But it's a meaningful first step, and by supporting organizations like WAM that aim to make the internet a safe place for everyone, we can help make a change for the victims of cyberstalking and cyber harassment. It may be a small step, but it's a very meaningful step, and something that we can do today.